transportation can call numbers in Albany, and they will line you up with rides. And I believe that will be happening out of New York City and Boston also.
Will people be building structures on the land?
I don't see why not if they have the wood, but I doubt that that's going to be happening. We're building lean-tos for childcare, for rain and shade. We don't have a lot of shade here, and that's another aspect, that if you don't have a good base on your skins or tan yet, be sure to bring something for protection from the sun.
And something to protect you from mosquitoes?
Yeah, like a big club. These are big mosquitoes. We're talking big mosquitoes here. But if you do bring some kind of commercial mosquito repellent, we ask that it not be a spray, that it be some kind of lotion.
I understand there's someone who's making some organic mosquito spray here.
Yeah. We're gonna, quite a few women are dedicated to El Natural, so that's going to take place in every level of the encampment, along with the medical facilities. I might add, there will be natural herbs and tinctures and things like that. So it's not all traditional medicine.
Will there be workshops in healthcare?
Actually, we should be going this way. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's going to be workshops in healthcare. We're getting women writing in wanting to do workshops on spirituality, workshops on conversion. That's something we're emphasizing in the community here, is we're not saying close down the depot. That is not our intent. What we're saying is we don't want to have nuclear missiles at that depot. We don't want nuclear missiles to be shipped over to Europe. And we're saying to the local people who work at the depot that we can have conversion at this space. They would not have to lose their jobs. They just might be able to have a say in what kind of safety focus they have with what they work on their jobs.
When you say conversion, you mean what?
Well, the Sampson State Park, the depot here could be set up. They have the machinery, they have the space, they have the tools to be set up as dismantling space for nuclear missiles. And wouldn't that be great to turn it around instead of coming in to go out, coming in to stop?
Shit. A wire here.
There's some talk about seeing some white deer on the
Yeah, this has been a bone of contention throughout this encampment and the community. All we know is that New York State Department of Conservation did a study and determined that the white deer on the base are not albino. And there's quite a few. There's an estimate of maybe 300 white deer. We've also heard reports of white skunk and white fox. But the depot is not letting people in to examine these animals, so we can't really accurately say what's happening.
What's the speculation on it? Could you face the camera when you say this? Because I'd really like to use this.
Well, we had one man who was born and raised in Ovid, which is a town up from here, who has since moved to Philadelphia, who is a wildlife photographer. And he stopped by to tell us his theory, which is that in the 50s there was a nuclear accident on the base. And he thinks that at that time there was something happened to the strain of the deer, and that is why they have white deer at the depot.
How many are there?
Estimates now of hundreds of white deer. Periodically, they have a trapper go in at night and trap the deer and the skunk and the fox and take them out. But we're not being able to get any real accurate information of why they're there, how many are there, what other white species are there. The depot neither denies nor confirms. That's about their most favorite saying. We neither deny nor confirm. But we know that the depot is very concerned about us because we have depot personnel stopping by, young men who are in the Army, in the Coast Guard, coming by just to find out. You know how it is, they're a little hesitant So you just engage in conversation, and something's dropped here and something's dropped there. And by the time they leave, an hour and a half later, we know that there's 250 MPs on the base that
They've been hired just
that have been hired for us, that they're going through special training. They're watching films of every single action at every single military installation in this country. They're learning how to deal with CD. This one man just came by yesterday and said, well, we're learning how to pick the CDers up by their ears and rip off their lips. We're going, oh no. No, I'm sorry, I can't say rip off their lips. I can't say that. Get people up by their lips, and they are being trained that if they use 7 pounds of pressure, that would rip off an ear. And they're not supposed to use that much pressure, only like 6.5, 6 3/4. But so we are finding things out, and we know that they have snipers over there, and that helicopters are flying over us every day and hovering over our house, and so they're getting ready.
What about the local people? Didn't you say there were local people being hired?
Yeah, they now have 120 local guards over there who are going through special training. And, we keep saying, you really don't have to do this. We're not going to, storm the base and go to where you have your nuclear missiles stored. We don't want to be there, but they're not really listening to us too much, and they are getting ready, and that is causing paranoid feelings in the community. So we're having to deal with a lot of that kind of sentiment coming from the people working on the base who think they might be stopped from working on the base, from the military who have had their long-term leaves canceled and are always on standby now.
There's no vacations this summer, right? Is that right?
Right. There will be no long-term vacations for anyone on the base until they determine how much of a threat we are to them. So,
can you just say, well, we can get you on camera saying what you think is stored on the base?
I would feel better to have another woman whose main focus is just that.
Okay, that's fine.
That.
We just want to have it so that we don't have to do our own voiceover, that people here can, that we'll have it on tape with women's faces actually saying it.
I would feel better to have another woman.
Shelter with the water that it's on the base, right? And there's local people that do know about the mutant animals, the white animals, and they haven't voiced a lot of concerns about the water supply. Are they now starting to? You all are asking some questions about it?
The local people?
Mm-hmm.
The local people. God, there's so many different levels of dealing here. I mean, we have third-generation local people who depend on the base or think that they need to depend on the base. We have a woman down the road who just came into the community a year ago who suddenly have developed strange markings on her face and have had a lot of medical problems, and she's come by and said, I never even questioned what was on that base until you all showed up, and now I'm wondering what's happening, that I'm getting sick, that my younger daughters are getting sick. So we've taken a sample of her water. We have our water test in the labs now being tested for radiation, soil testing for radiation, and plant testing for radiation. So, there's some local people who are beginning to equate that what's on the base may not be healthy for them or their children. We have other opinions of, that's the military, they've been good to us, we're not going to question them. Another opinion of, I'm a patriotic person, so I will not question what the military is doing. I mean, we're dealing on so many different levels, and our philosophy for it is just, let's talk facts, let's be open, and let's just start to dialogue, and let's get it across that we have the power to be able to say to the military and the government, be accountable to us.
So what are we doing now?
Okay, now I don't know if you're going to want to bring your equipment back here, but we need to cut through here, which is going to take us out to the trench.
Is there a pathway?
Kind of. used to be,
Let's
but
try
it's
if we
growing up
can.
so much.
You on now?
Yeah.
You okay, Marcy? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think it's going to look pretty good. It's going to be bumpy with every step I take, but
Well, you saw what it looked like yesterday. Did you see it through the viewfinder? It doesn't look that bad. It looks like you're walking.
yeah, it's sort of like cinema verite,
Right. Video verite.
video verite. Well, I think there's something nice about that. The feeling of the person who's viewing it going right along through as if they were walking along.
For what we wanted to do with this tape, I think it's perfect. We want to show, we want to give people a real idea of what to expect. And
Yeah.
we're exploring it, and we're experiencing it, and we're sharing it. Just like we have a video camera. We're sharing our eyes.
Do you want to say that again and I'll use it?
All that stuff that you said?
Well, we're sharing our eyes with you.
Well, right. We're exploring and discovering this land that we'll all be. A lot of us will be up for this summer, and we just wanted to share our eyes with those of you in Boston and other places that couldn't be here this
How
week.
do we get the camping areas to be set up in a way that an ambulance and fire truck could get in? How do we do orientation to women who may be coming into a rural situation for the first time in their lives, to be sensitive to the land and also the kind of community they're coming into? How do we set up spaces that is safe for childcare? How do we set up spaces to deal with differences of opinions and attitudes? One important aspect of this encampment is we're having about this much of a range of women, right? And we want women to start interacting also and to start getting over attitudes so we can pull together in a stronger way and be that much more powerful. So basically what we're working on is the physical structure of how to meet all the regulations and how most efficiently to set up the encampment so women can just plug in. Also dealing with structures so we can deal with the systems, the attitudes, maintenance, and we're also dealing a lot with public outreach with the farmers and soil conservation people and the sheriff's department and the press and the depot and the fire department and I can go on and on and on like that. And it's a lot of work. We need help. If any women want to come early, we could really use all the help, physical help, to come and help us set this space up. And it should be known that when women arrive, it's not going to be like, outdoor Hilton, and we're probably going to continue to have work projects that need to be completed, major work projects.
So what are we looking at now, Michelle? What is all this?
This is the drainage ditch that runs through the depot onto our land. Technically, this piece of stretch here is owned by the federal government. They maintain it. This is a part of the water and plant that we're having tested for radiation. And if we cross over this ditch and go through those trees, we will hit upon the base fence. So we, in actuality, butt right up to the base.
Is that our land too over there on the other side?
Yeah, that's our land. But again, the federal government technically owns 30 foot from wherever their fences are. So we're thinking of July 4th, cutting a path through there and putting up weavings and signs and
On the fence itself?
on the fence itself.
And that will be trespassing?
If they want to push it that far, they could probably technically say so.
But it also belongs to the peace encampment land too, right? Except for the abutment part?
Right, right.
Could you talk about how the land got bought?
Yeah, we've been having meetings for about a year about how to set up an encampment. Green and Common has had a lot to do with our desire to set up an encampment here in support of the women there and also in support of maybe trying to keep the missiles here before they even got over to England. So throughout our consensus meetings, there's been discussion what would the advantages be of having legally owned space versus just coming and camping on space. In England, you have commons. and technically that means it belongs to the people. Here in America, we don't have that. So we finally decided that it would be to our benefit to have a legally owned space. It would give us more power and probably less power to the authorities to haul us away. That's how we came to the conclusion. We started driving around and just seeing the land and what was available, and we came upon this farm, and 3 of us went and talked to the woman who inherited it from her aunt, who lived here till she was 92, never put indoor plumbing, must have been a very far out woman, and talked to her, and we weren't open about what we intended on doing. We put it like, we're a group of women, we want to do an encampment where we want to deal with educational issues. We have church women involved with us, and lo and behold, we have been able to buy the land for $37,000. We make 3 payments of 10 something apiece. We have made 2 payments. We have only 1 to go on July 15th. The land will be ours.
Oh, where'd you get that second lump of money?
Donations, $5, $10, $25 donations, loans. We have a lot of loans out. I mean, we're going to be in debt at the end of this encampment, if it ends. We're going to be in debt. And, so we need to do a lot of fundraising. We've applied to different foundations for grants, but they come through mostly for educational purposes. We can't use that to buy the land. So only 1 more payment to go. I'd like to add that through dealing with some of the local farmers here, some of them had been interested in buying the land, and they just couldn't get past, the front door with it. And the price that they had been given was higher than the price of what we got our land for. So somebody's helping us, some powers and some peoples, and we're renewed by that. So it's going to be our land. We have yet to, and when I say our, that's not the 5 women who had to sign their names. That every woman that comes here is her land, because we believe in the consensus process. So when the time comes to determine what's going to happen with this land, it will again be a consensus decision. Some of the things I've heard is, 1, make it an ongoing peace space, 2, possible house for battered women, 3, give it to the Cayuga Native American nation, who claim this as part of their homeland and the base. But then if we are, thousands of dollars in debt, and this is the only asset that we have, we might have to sell it. But that's a lot of factors are going to determine what eventually happens with this land.
Michelle, in relationship to where we are now, where is the Army, like the gates and the base?
The main gate, if you go right down that way about half a mile, is the main gate. If you go straight through to the fence, we'll come to the gate and we'll see the inner road of the depot. If we were to be able to fly and go straight up and over in a straight line, we would come to the high security nuclear storage facilities. And at night you can look over here and the whole sky is lit up with these intense bright lights.
Does it have a kind of a greenish glow?
No, not that I've noticed. It's just really high lighting for security purposes.
And they have increased their security, like raised their fences, is that true?
Oh yeah, they have extended their boundaries now. They put up a fence around the airfield. It made it appear that they were doing that for us. But in reality, they asked for a fence in 1976. And we're not denying that, us being here. Look at that hawk. Isn't that beautiful?
Where is it?
It's going to circle around right now. Here it
Up there
comes.
by that big tree.
There it goes.
See it? Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not denying that we may have helped them finally get their fence, but the attitude in the community is that we're costing taxpayers money because we're here, and that's why they're putting up the fence.